Well-Tech, Action Van, Well-Tech.
But as incredible as it may seem, the Expedition is not Ford's biggest 4x4. Check off the right option box at your local Ford dealer and you can have one of these, the Quigley Super Track van. Just think of it as the Expedition's bigger brother. But sometimes even the biggest sport utes, like this Chevrolet Suburban, aren't big enough. Now, those off-roaders with special needs can then turn to a small Pennsylvania-based firm called the Quigley Motor Company. They build the biggest four-wheel drive people movers that we've ever driven. Think of it as a sport utility plus.
This comment is the inspiration for today's video. I bought my first van in 2008 and I saw those Motor Week Quigley videos in around 2009. I wanted my van to look like that, so I started researching Quigley and saw what a 4x4 conversion cost, and I couldn't afford it. So I Google searched two-wheel drive Econoline lift kit. So it took me to the message boards and it also took me to Action Van Suspension. So I saved the Action Van Suspension website. I went to the message board, and at the time the message boards were mentioning J-Flame, and another guy mentioned Action Van Suspension, and he actually did a post on installing it, and that post is still up today. I'll pin it in the comments section. Unfortunately, the pictures are gone. I want to share an article in the May 2009 issue of Off-Road magazine. This is pretty cool. A two-wheel drive lifted Ford Econoline ambulance made it in this issue. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in on the text and give you guys the opportunity to read this article at the end. But pretty cool. Alright, here's my Ford Econoline lifted. I dropped it off on Monday and picked it up Tuesday. I left it overnight at Full Tilt Off-Road. They also own Action Van Suspension, and they're the guys who designed the kit for this vehicle. So I figured they should install it. They've worked with it before, so they know what they're doing. $2,800 altogether for the install and the lift. I have no problems with that. Support US workers. Support the economy. What inspired you to lift your van or want a lift kit for your van? So my current lift kit on my second van build is a Well-Tech 5-inch lift. Action Van Suspension, they advertise 4.5 to a 6-inch lift, so they play it safe on their prediction. You guys are all about the lift kits, right? So let's talk about it real quick. Action Van Suspension, Well-Tech, same size tires too, and the Action Van is slightly taller than the Well-Tech. So I got this Well-Tech in 2021, and at the time this lift kit was $2,600. The lift kit is up to $3,200 now, and 10 years ago Action Van was $1,900, and now their kit is $2,089 for the base kit. So it hasn't gone up that bad, but Well-Tech has gone up from $2,600 to $3,200 in the last 3 years. So yeah, whatever lift kit you want, whatever 5-inch lift kit you want, yeah, get it ASAP, because lift kits are already expensive enough for these vans. That lift kit was expensive, man. That's $4,400, man. Yeah.
Sorry.
It was a lot of money.
Yeah,
no, I want to do it right.
Not that bad.
I want to do everything right, like I said. So I'm like,
I have given you back everything I can do right for you.
yeah, nah, it runs. We drove it. It ran good, man. Good. My brother-in-law's brother just got a Nissan Frontier last year, a 2023, and he wants to lift it 6 inches. You know what a Nissan Frontier 6-inch lift kit costs? $1,300. lift kits for these vans, the 5-inch lift kits, they're not cheap. So that's why I recommend Action Van. Who likes to just chill in their van? Shout out to Arthur Nava. We were talking about this last night. He has the nicest Ford Parts 1 2-inch lifted van I've ever seen. And this is just the start. He has some big plans for that van. Shout out to Arthur Nava on Instagram and YouTube. He's the finance manager at San Diego Harley Davidson. So if you want to buy a Harley, look for Arthur Nava at this dealership. A couple of months ago, he leaves me a comment telling me if I want to show my subscribers what a Ford Parts 1 2-inch spacer lifted van looks like, stop by his dealership. So I finally have some time, so this is what it looks like. I talk to people of all ages here on YouTube, and one of the recent emails I've gotten is from someone in their 60s. They just ordered a lift kit for their van, and he told me that he just likes to hang out in his van in the driveway, and his intentions with this van is to go on some cool road trips, visit family, visit his granddaughter, and those are the stories I like to hear about. I appreciate all the emails I get, so always feel free to email me, guys. Show me pictures of your cool vans. So I got this van lifted in 2021 with the WellTech lift. It was $4,400 out the door, and at the time Action Van would have been $3,000 out the door. So when I picked this van up, my first impression was, van looks cool, this is a nice kit, but it doesn't feel better than Action Van. The ride quality is about the same. I should have saved the money and went with Action Van. No regrets, the kit's already in there, but if I were to do it again, I'd go with Action Van. It's a comparable product. Even though it's cheaper, it's not the lesser product. So at the time, I didn't know Larry from Action Van yet. I met him briefly in 2010 when he worked on my van, but I didn't remember his face. I was just there to get a lift kit, you know, in 2010, 2011. So I did a lifted van meet in Hungry Valley, and Larry, he shows up unannounced. I figured out who he was. I said, hey, you're the guy that runs Action Van. And he told me, I saw your videos about my lift kit. I appreciate you being fair and honest, and if you still need a rear locker for your van, I could help you. So that tells me Larry watched my videos, because I was always talking about wanting a rear locker. My recommendation, call both companies. You might like the other guy more than the other. You might like the guy running Action Van more. You might like the guy running WellTech more. The Action Van guy has no YouTube presence. The WellTech guy, you know, he's a very cheery, rah-rah type. Maybe you like rah-rah types. Or maybe you just like quiet old-timers, like the guy at Action Van. His website is 10 years old, and it shows. It's the exact same website from 10 years ago when I lifted my first van. I was always talking about wanting a rear locker, and he's the one that helped me with it. So I had become friends with them since then. And, you know, I never intended to make all these Action Van videos, but you know, when someone helps me out, I want to help them out too. He's been so kind to me. Showed up to my van meet, no camera equipment. He was just there to just hang out with a fellow van enthusiast, someone who was fanatical about vans, and that meant something to me, because this is a small channel, and for someone who's been in the industry for 25 plus years, he's the OG Econoline lift guy. And for him to respect me and to tell me to keep up the integrity, keep up the honesty, it meant something to me. And that's not a knock on WellTech at all. In fact, WellTech leaves me comments sometimes. You know, WellTech has their own, you know, partnerships with companies. I'm not a company. I just happen to be friends with the guy that owns this company. You know, I'm not an official partner with them, but hey, Larry, if you're watching this, the offer is always open to you, man. If you want me to put a gigantic Action Van suspension decal on the side of my van, let's pull the WellTech kit off my van. I'll give one of my subscribers a nice price, so I have another friend with the lift kit. So more people with, you know, more friends, more people getting a lift. Let's put the ultimate kit on this van, man. That offer is always open to you, you know, and I think that'll make a statement. I always said I think your product is every bit as good as WellTech, And if this van has a Weltec, if we pull this off, put your Ultimate kit on here, hey, I'll be the guy that pulled a Weltec kit off my van to put your Ultimate kit on, and I will put a big decal, man. You have helped me out tremendously. You have you always share your knowledge with me, man. Like you know, Larry's cool because there's an aux locker right there. Larry's cool because he's like the most knowledgeable guy, and he doesn't look down on you when he's teaching you, and that's the best teachers who don't look down on you. This is yeah, from Action Van, open diff, locked. So it meant something to me when it was obvious he like really watches my videos. So yeah, that's why I plug Action Van, man. Yeah, I'm not paid by them. They just helped me out, and they were kind to me. They were kind enough to show up to one of my meets unannounced. No hidden agendas, man. He just wanted to thank me for my honesty and my reviews, and that's all I want to see. All I want to see is my friends lifted. Like I said, I don't care if you have a spacer. I don't even care if you have a stock van. I just love this hobby. So I don't care if you have a stock van, spacer lift, Weltec, Action Van, U-joint, Clydesdale, Timberland. I don't care if people have a better van than me. I just want to share my joy for this hobby. Alright, everyone. So check this out. I got that comment right before I was headed to the library. I was actually going to talk about a different video today. I was going to bring my Fiat here, different video coming up. But I got that comment right before I went to the library, and I said, you know what? I'm inspired right now. Let me make this video. So I got work to do right now. Have a great weekend, everyone. Do you know who this is right here? That's Larry from Action Van Suspension. He saw my videos that we're gonna meet up at Flying J, and he decided to show up and hang out with us. So there it is right there. Action Van Suspension, been lifting vans for 20 years. This is Larry's van from Action Van Suspension. He led the way up Power Line Trail.